The subdued waters of the Med reflected my countenance perfectly as we headed towards our patrol area, a steady speed and course with little in the way of current or tide to consider. I had just finished puffing my pipe, tipping the ash over the side, when the radio man came clambering up the conning tower hatch with a square of folded paper clasped within his mouth. I was expecting him to read out the message, but instead he held the paper out for me to take it. As soon as I managed to decipher the hasty scrawls, I knew why he didn't read the message, for it was not his news to deliver. I mustered the men and made the announcement. Italy had officially joined the war. All Italian shipping was no longer neutral and was to be considered an enemy. Fair game. Some of the faces were elated. A few cheers, a few cheeky winks and smiles were passed about the mess. Only a very few had their spirits dampened or withdrew into themselves. Overall, the news was taken well, but there was now a kind of pressure the likes of which this submarine, or its men, had never experienced before. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of a Silent Hunter 4 Royal Navy campaign with the We Dive at Dawn mod pack. When we last left you, we had barely made it out of HMS Talbot when we were attacked by planes, and we have since arrived at our patrol area, or rather we're just pulling into our patrol area. Currently on a course of 335, making headway at 12 knots. I have drawn an incredibly rough and rudimentary plan just to stick around our patrol area where we will patrol for shipping. What we'll also do, and in fact we can even do this now before we arrive, we can perform a hydrophone check. In fact, as we are on the 0900 now, that would probably be a good idea to do. So what I'm going to do, let's go into the command room ahead of time. Depth below keel. 448, we've got loads of room. Too much, some might say. Diving officer, make your depth 30 meters.
Yes, sir. New depth. 3. Yes, sir.
So for those who are aware of how submarines work and have seen any of these submarine game playthroughs before, you know what a hydrophone is. But for those who don't know, the submarine is equipped with something called a hydrophone, which is a kind of underwater microphone. And we can see up to a certain distance, but when we're underwater, we can hear further than we can see with the help of this underwater microphone. So we're going to head to a depth of about 30. To get well below periscope depth if we can, and we're going to hop on the hydrophone and we're going to listen out and see if we've got any contacts. Now the underwater microphone can go in all directions, 360 degrees, but when it's behind us, when we try to listen behind us, there will be only the sound of our own engines, which isn't too helpful. Should be arriving at 30 soon. We're actually going to turn the engines down to 1/3.
Ahead 1/3. Yes, sir.
And the reason for this is so that our engines are quieter and we have a better time listening. So let's hop over to the hydrophone now. Ooh, very sensitive. Okay. Just to illustrate that point I was just talking about, if we actually point it towards 180 now, that's the sound of our own engines. So let's just do a quick sweep. Very well. As we're all clear on the hydrophone then, let's pop up and do a quick visual check before we surface the boat and continue on to the centre of our marked patrol area. Diving officer, periscope depth.
Yes, sir.
Periscope depth.
Well, his whole voice changed. It's true, I was not ready for that. As we no longer need the hydrophone, we're also just going to up to 2/3.
Yes, sir.
Ahead slow.
Yes, sir.
Just increase our rate of ascent a little. There we are, arriving at periscope depth. So, hop onto the OP. Up scope. Scan of the surface shows also nothing. The skies are cloudy, that's good. Cover from planes, but there are these large gaps. But nothing. Can't see any aircraft either, so we should be... Yep, green to surface. Down scope. Diving officer, surface the boat.
Yes, sir.
Surface the boat.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bridge hatch is clear. Now they're on the surface, we
Yes,
can head back
sir.
up to full.
Ahead full. Yes, sir.
Now, we haven't been under for that long, but I understand, is our battery even expended? It is. We've got about 3% of our battery missing. So we're actually turning ahead on one screw right now, so despite the fact that we're going full, we're probably going to top out at about 9 knots, because our starboard engine is currently being used to turn a gyro generator and recharge our batteries. So, as we've established, there is absolutely nothing around here. We will continue to perform laps around our patrol area, and I will inform you all as soon as we encounter something. Very interesting. My watch crew haven't spotted this yet, but if we actually turn our attention just to our starboard beam... Where were they? There we go. About 120. You can see some masts on the horizon. This one, the frontmost, is the most prominent of all. You can see the top of a mast and the smokestack just behind it. Just to the left of my cursor. It seems as though we are parallel course with them at the moment, so what we're going to do, it's only 11:23, so we've still got plenty of daylight left, which is not good for us, but this is very exciting, hoping to intercept. We've been patrolling for 3 days now, and well, I'm getting jolly bored, so we're going to shadow this convoy, and then we are going to, a bit later in the day, turn in and intercept. So I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is we have finally approached and successfully intercepted that convoy we were tracking. The bad news will become... Well, actually, the bad news is coming in 2 parts. The first bit of bad news I will reveal to you by raising our observation periscope. Kind of rough weather at the moment, so I don't know if you'll be able to see this immediately. Ooh. The convoy we've been tracking. There it is. It's a fishing boat. Just wait for the damn waves to stabilise for a moment. You'll see, there you go, it's a fishing trawler. And here I thought we were going to be sinking our first merchant, something with a bit more weight to it. Quite literally, we need the tonnage to upgrade our boat and move on with our career. But still, may as well make the best of a bad situation. On that note, actually, let's just put the scope down. If we go into the control room, you'll see over here we have our hydrophone. We mentioned earlier that we were doing periodic hydrophone checks. Well, what you'll notice is if we actually put the hydrophone, where are we? On that bearing. Do you hear that? Me neither. The flipping hydrophone's broken. Those blackguards at Barrow have done me dirty. The damn thing doesn't work. It's quite content with picking up our own engines. If we go all the way round to 180 again, it's fine doing that. But it can't pick up the diesel engines or petrol engines of these trawlers that I'm looking at with my eyes. So, it's busted. Hydrophone's written off. I'm going to have a stern word when I get back to base with whoever put this boat through checks. Anyway. Just in case any of you find yourself in a submarine preparing an attack on a fishing trawler, just be aware that while they might not have much in the way of weaponry, fishermen possess perhaps one of the deadliest anti-submarine tools of all, which is a fishing net. If they were to catch us, it would be completely over for us. That's it. The sub's caught, it would all go wrong. And not to mention the trawler would probably go down as well. Thankfully, fishing nets aren't coded into the game, so I'm going to take advantage of that and approach submerged, performing periodic visual checks for armament, and if they prove to be toothless, then I'm going to move right in beneath them and wait for nightfall before I surface and commence a deck gun attack. Torpedoes are expensive, and I wouldn't want to... Oh, wrong. I'd want to save them, rather, for more suitable prey. So, I'm going to continue my approach. It's just up. Bearing 045, last seen. 030069. There it is. Okay, so we are going to continue on our intercept. Let's just have a quick look. There are last reported positions. There we go, there's reciprocal to 030210. 4,100 meters. Okay, well, less than ideal, but we're going to have to make the best of a bad situation, so let's wait for nightfall and we will spring our trap. Okay, it's 21:30. We are just beginning our ascent up to periscope depth for a final check before we launch our attack. Our battery is almost depleted, which is why we're only managing to put out 4 knots at standard, and we're also almost out of oxygen, so we need to surface soon for our own safety, if not anyone else's. Right, we're approaching required depth. Upscope. We should have this fishing trawler just ahead of us. There it is. Hasn't got a clue. And if we can see our screw from here, or if it's too murky. No, it's too murky. Very well.
Yes, sir.
It's time. Service the boat. Okay, let's wait for our Christmas tree to turn red, and then... Right, battle stations. Gun crew, load HE, fire at will. Oh, that's bright. Do you mind? Some of us are trying to conduct a deck gun attack here. Possibly the worst place to have a hole in your boat. Not that holes in boats are generally considered a good thing anyway. That's it, lads, keep up the fire. Our orders have been executed, and we have attained a modest tonnage total for 5 days of patrolling, even if it were just fishing trawlers. Some of the newer sailors, bless their cotton socks, mistakenly believed that we were going home as we have carried out our orders. Sprogs, the lot of them. We still have fuel in the tanks, provisions in the hold, and perhaps more pertinently, our full complement of 8 torpedoes, still dry and hungry for the hulls of Axis ships. This patrol was far from over. The beeping in the radio shack was the first sign of new orders coming down the line. It would take our radiomen mere seconds to decrypt and relay those orders in plain English. However, those are seconds that we don't have at the moment, as this episode draws to a close. Thank you everybody for watching. There has been an overwhelmingly positive response to this series so far that has been nothing short of incredible. Words cannot express just how thankful I am to you all. Please continue to like and comment to let me know what you thought of this episode, and of course, if you aren't already, subscribe and strike the bell. I shall see you all in episode 3.